Hey everyone, welcome in. Betsperts Golf here for preview 2025 American Express. We are out of Hawaii, working east to California. We are in the Coachella Valley, Palm Springs, Desert Classic, Career Builder Challenge, Bob Hope Classic. It's been a lot of things over the years. Andy, what's going on?
Not too much. Yeah, this. All these tournaments have had 100 names, haven't they?
I think this is the leader of the pack, though.
Yeah, God, it feels like the Buick Open was a bunch of different things. Maybe you know what, that was the Buick Open for quite a long time until they got rid of it. I think that was in Michigan. Yeah, it was in Michigan, obviously Buick, but we have a few of those. That was always fun when we did look back at the data when we first built the tools, and we looked at the data that we were getting from the PGA. It's like, oh my God, they literally, like, every time the name even changed a little, they changed it in here. It made it a kind of a pain in the butt to. It's like, oh, there's like tournament codes. Never mind. We're not even looking at the names. Doesn't matter. Tournament is a tournament is a tournament. Yeah, we're gonna do some research today. Talk about some of our favorite key stats. What we're using to decide on guys this week. I've spent not as much time as I would have liked to already because I spent a bunch of time digging into the TGL this morning. Kevin Kisner.
No, listeners need to understand. Andy sent me a very detailed list of what he expects all of the Kevin Kisner shots to be today. The hole by hole, where he's teeing off, second shots. Like, Andy is in the weeds on the sim golf, people. He's in the weeds.
There's like 600-yard holes where Kevin Kisner's teeing off. That's not going to go well for anybody. His club head speed is basically like the top speed of one of those little smart cars. It's bad. Like, he can't hit the ball that far. He's not been a great golfer as it is. The fly in the ointment tonight is obviously Tiger. If you look at his straight up stats, they look shit. But it's Tiger Woods. Like, he can pitch, he can putt, he can certainly ball strike. The big problem is he can't walk 9 miles up and down hills and still do all those things with a plum.
Yeah.
The effects on his body from walking affect his swing and affect his game. So I'm wondering if he just runs this tonight. Like, I bet against him because it's one of those weak link things with Kisner. And there's not, if Justin Rose is your weak link as well as he played the last, year and a half,
sure,
I'm fine with LA winning this. But I digress from the TGL. We'll move on to the PGA. Although I did have a joke about like Xander pulling out. So it'd be really funny. I said that to you in the Discord. If we find out he's just been down there, like grinding that simulator, and he's like, "Fuck it, I'm not going to California. I got to figure this out." After just getting dummied on national television by Shane Lowry and gang. So I obviously A-Bear was a huge part of that. But I wonder if he did go play like an extra round the next morning. Like, fuck, that was terrible. Or he's in there just making Ricky hit balls. Here's 5 buckets of balls, Ricky. I'm going to yell at you after every shot. So Xander's out. Scotty obviously still out with his hand injury. The field is a little weaker, but you still have some big enough names here. Cantlay, Sung J.M., Siwoo Kim, Sam Burns, some winners, some multi-winners on tour, some big names. Drops off from there. Last year was won by an amateur who turned out to be a damn good amateur, who actually won an event on tour later in the year as a pro, and finished inside of the FedEx rankings to make the damn playoffs. So good on Nick Dunlap. I don't know if we see another amateur win. Kind of feels unlikely, but this is a putting contest. So what kind of stats do you want to dig in on this one because of the nature of what it takes to win this thing?
Yeah, outside of the Rahm 2 wins here, if you look at the past champs here, obviously Nick Taylor aside as an AM at whatever he went off at 400 or whatnot, it has mostly been longer shots. I want to say Siwoo was maybe 45-ish or so not maybe long shot per se, but it has not been a top of the board place. Personally, I don't typically have an appetite for the top of the board in a spot where I think we're getting north of 25 under. Again, I joked at the top about the numerous names, but we've been coming here for a while. If you go back and look at the last 20 years or so, there was a windy Charlie Hoffman year that he won south of 20. Otherwise, it is a birdie fest. So, and some of the reasons why the top, again, you're probably familiar. This is a 3-course rotation. We have shot link data for one of the courses. So there's some common links throughout the 3 courses where they are all 7,200 or shorter. These are the easiest set of par 5s basically on tour across the board. The par 4s are still in play, flat, friendly pin placements. Because again, you have a pro-am element for 3 rounds. Typically, the pro-am's played on Wednesdays. Hubbub's chubbing it up with the guys for, whatever, 30K before the cameras are rolling. This is going on during the event. So you get some 6-hour rounds. It's not for everybody. So, it is a very unique spot to handicap because, again, we have a Saturday cut. So, again, if you're playing DFS, great spot for showdown because stadium course is the easiest, but it's not as easy as the other 2. So, kind of a unique week to handicap as well, kind of flying blind without the shot link data. So, that's how do you do on birdie fests? How do you do on short golf courses? How do you do when the scoring conditions are easy and very easy? I mean, that is it.
And a couple of small differentiators I'd probably be looking at is course history. Not because, hey, were you good on this course? Is your game a perfect match for these courses, these short courses with a little bit of danger, clubbing down? It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with what you said earlier. Can you deal with a 6.5-hour round with Macklemore? There are some guys who just don't do well in this sort of event because they don't, it pulls focus from what they're doing and they just cannot, for some reason, compete on an easy course that they should go out and, I bet if they went and played 4 rounds by themselves earlier in the week, they'd go shoot 25 under. Just, the distractions and whatnot and the length and, how awful these rounds are. It isn't everybody's cup of tea. I'm not saying it's a huge factor, but something worth looking at. If there's a guy you like and he's played here 3-4 times, just, go look at it. Maybe he made the cut and it was just ho-hum, like barely made the cut. And then maybe had a good Sunday because there's no amateurs. Maybe that's an indicator. Go look for guys like that. But the other one is obviously it's a putting contest. I don't think you need great putters though. So this is not the same kind of bumpy POA that you'll see. This is overseeded. And I mean, these are kind of pure. It's not bent grass, but it might as well be. Like these greens run pure. They basically say anybody can putt well on these. Yep. So if you have a guy, you love his all-around game, you love 3-4 different things about him in your key stats, but he's not the greatest putter, based on the odds, I'd still kind of look at him. And putting contests aren't won by good putters usually. It happens where it's like, hey, 10 years ago, Jason Day just did what Jason Day does, or somebody along those lines.
No, it's a great point.
But I mean, like, where do you rate Matsuyama among the great putters of the world?
Yeah,
it's not up there, and he's won several of these just by, hey, he's one of the better golfers in the field. He's doing everything right, and the putts are falling. Like 2 weeks ago, sometimes that happens where a guy who's marginal, or maybe even worse, just gets hot enough with the flat stick. Sometimes because of the opportunities he's gaining with everything else. Where, well, he hasn't made anything over 12 feet today, but he's 7 under on the round.
No, it's a great call up because this is where even ball striking on tougher golf courses, they separate themselves. It would be the same for putters, really. They're going to be able to separate themselves when it's tougher to putt. These are all professional golfers. Their baseline is all, they're all solid guys that can, make birdies in bunches here. It's obviously a skill to be able to make them in bunches at the level that it requires for this week. But I think it's a really good point that you don't have to necessarily focus in on exceptional putters, even though that is part of the ask for the week too. So yeah, I mean, the rough is not penal. They did redo the greens at the stadium course. So they are no longer really, really small. They're went from 5,000 square feet to 7,000, kind of the original design. It's just wild to think that this is a course that was originally too difficult. The PGA players banded together to get this off the circuit because they were so frustrated with how difficult it played. And now we're in a spot where guys don't want to come because it is, that easy of an event. Part of it is the 3-course rotation and all those things, but weather looks pretty benign too. That can be something that could play into this as well. So you're going to have really nice Palm Springs weather without a lot of wind, which is obviously a great thing for the state of California right now. Let's keep the winds in check. But yeah, I mean, you're going to need to, I think get to 25 or so at least, as we've seen in the past. So yeah, that's really it. Like I said, great showdown event. If you play DFS, just cross out, the stadium course. Yes, people are going to be building lineups that way, but it's just like anything in DFS, like make smart people prove it, because there's still going to be 25, 30% of the pool that are drawing dead because they didn't consider that, or they tried to get cute and they are jamming in stadium course guys. So kind of an interesting week in golf. TGL, Dubai, lots of different things to handicap and get down on if the Amex isn't your thing.
Yeah, it's funny too that we say, like, I'm looking at TGL stuff and I say, well, here's what I put a rough percentage together on who should win. Like, I made my own money line based off a few different things, but I'm saying I'm doing this with zero data of them ever hitting into a simulator. It's all just, how did you play normal golf on normal golf courses? And this week it stinks for that too. Like you said, without shot link data on a couple of these courses, you can get that data. I don't know how sound it is. I think a lot of it is just estimated SG, which maybe is better than nothing, but you do have to use the eye test and just know what's worked on the stadium course a little more for, picking out your key stats, picking out what you're going to key in on. I don't know. Do you have one you want to look at right off the bat as far as what to start with? I mean, there's a lot of things. It should be, par 5 scoring is going to be important this week. Wedge play on some of these short ends on the short 4s and the very scoreable 5s. Obviously, look at spike putting. We can look at just overall approach game, I guess, because of what you're gonna need for scoring. But what's the biggest one you want to start with?
A couple of things that you can tell me what you think is key or where you want to start. Things that I think are really key this week. Like I said, strokes gained total, very easy scoring conditions, short and very short golf courses. I like approach. I think it really matters, but I think looking in, using the rabbit hole to look at approach on short and very short golf courses. Because again, part of what that does is you're catching a distribution of wedge play, like you said, 125 and under, because there's a whole lot of that here. But also because you need to be aggressive and go for the green on these par 5s, you do have kind of higher distribution of 250 plus, 225 plus as well. So we can look into that here too. So, and then poetry, green putting, whatever you want to do. Par 5, it's like, yes, I think looking at it's good, but like, it's almost one of those things where, man, it's just so easy for everyone. The par 3s actually are interesting because the par 3s, the only things that
they're all hard. They're very difficult. Yeah.
Yeah. So looking at guys who have handled the par 3s well, because they're a little bit longer too, might be a unique way to look at it too. And again, a little noisy. Par 3s, literally just, you're talking about 4 shots of, around. So samples can be really noisy, but for a large sample, it's probably not awful to look at.
That'd be a fun stat to see. Average number of shots on a par 3 that, aren't putts per round. Like who is just constantly, maybe they're not putting all that well, but who's constantly just at least finding their greens. I suppose you could just look at greens in regulation on 3s. It's essentially the same thing. But a good point by you when you were talking about, running a filter split on the main field and saying, only show me stats for short and very short courses where scoring is easy and very easy. And like you said, if you're looking at the approach game in that, you really got to just take 2 seconds and think about what are the shots in that distribution. Like you said, it's almost a different way to get to a bunch of wedge shots because there are going to be so many wedge shots. But at the same time, you are building in those 250-yard fairway woods that people are hitting into, the greens and some of these scoreable 5s. So it kind of combines, the best of both worlds there with what distributions of shots you're really going to need to win this one.
Yeah. It's just better, I think, because it allows you to not have to get really finite on proximity ranges and really making sure that you capture that and weigh it properly.
Mhm.
I think kind of does the same thing, tells a better story. So we'll start there. Let's look at, I think you're going to get, if you overfit by adding them together, we can take a look at it. I did a short video yesterday on the Betsperts Golf Twitter feed, looking at both, combining very easy and easy, very short and short. You just to show that can be, it's useful, but that sample is real small, especially for the top level guys, right? The top tier guys are not playing a ton of very easy courses. Then you add the short length too, and you're kind of really killing that sample size. So I think looking at these in independent buckets, backing out for a larger sample is the way to go. So we'll do very easy scoring conditions. I'll back out we'll start with 2 years and see what we get with that, because we're not going to get anything with 6 months. A year is not going to be enough. I think there's going to be a better way to do it. And I would really lean on this week. I think this is, again, you want to pull all that other stuff out. Most approaches are like an average approach is 170 yards or so, the typical PGA Tour event. We don't have a lot of that here. So I don't want to weigh it very heavily. All right, back out 2 years. Should give us, 55, 70 rounds or so for most guys. Yeah, even bigger. All right. Kevin Kisner.
Kevin Kisner. He's catching strays left and right.
Worst in the field.
So if anyone does offer a Kevin Kisner matchup, not only is he the worst in the field at something important, he's got to go play in Florida tonight. Like he's catching a plane. He's not getting practice rounds in at all. He's been here, but Kevin Kisner probably going to have a bad week. Watch him fucking dump 20 or something. Yeah. JT Poston, a name I was kind of peeking at this week. Eric Cole, Sung Jam, Ben Griffin, our guy Ben Griffin, Sam Burns, Davis Thompson, Grazerman, Spawn, a near playoff entrant. He was like the Bengals. We thought they might be in the playoffs, but wasn't quite able to get there. And then Glover, Todd, Kuchar, Svensson, the Canadian, is top 12 there. Or Michael Thorbjornsen, 14th for you. Scam Young, 15th. Patrick Fishburne, who had a nice tournament over there in Honolulu.
Yeah, the guy Fishburne.
16th. Previously mentioned Jason Day, 17th. Kirk, Mackenzie Hughes, Hadwin, and tied with Hadwin. Where'd he be now? Tony Finau.
Big Tone, yeah. So again, I think this is literally, if you're picking one thing this week, I think this is it. Like that's overfit, but I mean, I would go here. You could see if there's any correlation. If we let's go back in here, we'll take out easy and very easy, and we'll go very short and short. See if there's any overlap. And I think there probably will be. All right. Well, Eric Cole looked nice. Hey, Kisner.
Kevin Kisner at the bottom again. Oh, no.
This is short courses.
Even on short course. Well, everybody's driving the green and he's pitching. JT finally rated for something. Good job. Sung JM again high. Cantlay wasn't on our last one. Neither was Harmon. Harmon, short courses. There you go. No kidding. Homeless Mark Hubbard, Wyndham Clark, Sam Burns, Chris Kirk, and there's the Postman. He was first in the other one, 10th in this one. Griffin, 12th in this one. He was in the top 5.
Yep.
Spawn mentioned again. Grazerman again. Todd again. Davis Thompson is 21st here. Finau's 20th again. Finau, maybe is that a sign? Like he was 20 in both? Just a top 20 bet? And
top 20 bet.
It'll be a dead heat and we'll get just exactly your money back.
If you're lucky. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is, again, where we can look at where we're talking about looking at approach, right? Approach in this range is what we want to see as well. That's, not super surprising at the top. Tom Hoagie, playing pretty good golf. Approach on short courses. JT there as well. See Glover. This is, again, you kind of look where Glover was comparatively in strokes gained total here, getting crushed in putting, which makes sense. Finau, same, not crushed quite as hard as the glove, but pot down there. Sepp Straka, ball striking around the green is crushing him, but otherwise ball striking and approach, pretty solid. Tom Kim, Kevin Roy, the lost Roy from the Roy Empire succession. Siwoo Kim, Eric Cole, Grayson Sig round out the top 10. So looking at approach there as well, I think is super important. So should we build a quick model? I didn't add. I'm going to add approach. I didn't add our first leg there. Approach short courses.
Yeah, let's throw a few things together, see what we like, and then look back at the odds.
Okay. Total short courses.
Congrats to anyone who does bet early. I'm guessing you picked up a little bit of equity when Xander dropped out. Sometimes that's how that works. Seems like that does happen more often earlier in the season. Now your favorite, it's kind of Sung Jae and Justin Thomas, semi co-favorites with Burns, Cantlay, and Burns and Cantlay right there, and then Finau, Tom Kim, Clark, kind of in their own little tier with Cam Young.
Yeah, that's what I think. Xander really needs Cantlay to get off the schneid here. Cantley's not a guy who minds a 6-hour round. This is a perfect spot for Cantlay to get back. That was my theory there. Okay, so we added very easy scoring conditions. We added short and very short strokes gained total and strokes gained approach to capture that here. Here's 3 stats. You want to do some putting. You want to do some par 5 stuff. Again, around the green, not something I'm weighing much at all here this week. What do you think next?
Yeah, I think we have better data than other places on POA Triv putting. So I kind of just want to put that in there.
Some places don't have it.
Because, by having it. Because not all POA is same POA. Like, when we list POA Triv, it's going to be this non-bumpy West Coast stuff, not the, not the POA you're used to.
Not your dad's POA.
Not your grandpappy's POA. So, I mean, even just short game, if you want to go there. So putting should be easy, but so should pitching. There's spots where you're not hitting out of the rough. It's like a short collar or maybe even just fairway. So maybe just throwing in short game on POA Triv here. See who's good at catching the greens when they're chipping. There might be some of these par 5s where they're reachable, but it's hard to stop a train on a green like this. The greens aren't, tiny, but they're not massive.
Yeah. I don't hate it. Ben Griffin, top of that line. You can see really popping both in around the green and putting. Cooch, Taylor Montgomery.
Badly.
What's that?
Aaron.
Yeah.
Not going to rank out much, but
no.
The Aussies can putt.
Yeah, typically you can putt. Jason Day, Todd, Nick Taylor, killer. Sam Ryder, said badly. Hughes, Burns, English, Seabez in the short game. So, yeah, I don't hate it. I haven't done anything with short game because I didn't do anything with around the green. So, I like it. Short game, POA, Triv. Again, these are overseeded at this time of year. They are going to be pure. And again, the ones on the stadium course are new. Like I said, they did redo the greens and some bunkering. They're going to be firm. It's not a great way to capture that in the rabbit hole because it doesn't mean they're going to be fast. They're still going to be, I think, probably slow. Slow is more stimping meter, how they roll them out, because you typically don't put really fast greens in a pro-am. They're typically a little bit slower. But, guys that can, again, some of the distance can add up. It doesn't really matter. Again, where some of these courses are, you can see here, less than 7,200 yards. Some spots where lofted irons coming in are going to be a little bit easier to hold because you think you might get some, first bounces being a little bit stronger than guys have seen in years past. So,
yeah. I guess the only other thing I'd really want to add would be to reset the filtering. Just set it to less than driver because there are so many par 4s where you're going to club down based on, the route you have to take to get to the green. Sure. And then I just want to look at ball striking in general. I think that's I don't want to build a model right now. I'm gonna do it right on the show and just use this one because it's kind of have all the things I want, but we need to add this. So I want to look at ball striking, basically finding my way to the green first shot or first couple shots, and how we look on courses like this where we're using some 3s, some 5s, some 2-irons, what have you.
Sure.
Everybody's a little different. When I club down, I just don't hit my drivers hard.
Top of the board, Kevin Yu. He was third here last year. He won in the fall swing too. Siwoo, previous winner here as well. Obviously a strong course history or strong Pete Dye history. Justin Thomas, again, in the mix here a little bit last year. Another former Players champ, Pete Dye track. Brian Harmon, Patrick Cantley, Tom Kim, Sepp Straka, Joel Damon, Tom Hoagie, and Keith Mitchell round out your top 10. I think that's interesting to see. Let's go to the bottom of this. Oh, man, Harry Higgs knocks out Kevin Kisner. Still here in the team picture at the bottom, but not all the way at the bottom. So good for him. Small sample for Nick Dunlap, but has not been great there either. I think Echeverria, like anything Echeverria, like we need just samples got to be probably too big. You just got to look at like what's happened in the last 3 months because the guy's been on fire. So
yeah, he changed something and it worked.
Yeah,
like sometimes guys just figure something out and it starts to work. So yeah. Let's add the ball striking and then I don't know, that might be it.
Scoring.
I don't want to get
something with birdies.
All right, we can do that.
Yeah. Ball striking less than driver. Like it. Yeah, I mean, you can tell me how you want to capture scoring, but I think having some sort of scoring element matters. Going for the green, something. Just going for the green par
birdies
fives.
Are better, opportunities, whatever you want to do here. They're all about the same in my opinion.
Okay.
I mean, it does show who's scoring, and you kind of want to do a split on this or a bigger sample, but it depends what you want to look at. Like, do we want to look at all scoring? How aggressive are you in general, and how's it working out for you? Or do we want to look at just easy scoring, West Coast golf, and any way you'd want to filter this out?
Yeah, you can't go region. Probably some instances where that makes a lot of sense. I just think there's not a lot of commonalities between the West Coast or California golf to be able to do that. So I'm just going to go last 12 months. Let's see what we get here. It's pretty small.
No, it's like we compare Pebble Beach to, Scottsdale.
Yeah, I mean,
different courses.
Riviera and here probably a little different. Torrey Pines probably a little different.
Did you see that in the group chat?
No.
There someone was fairly certain they're not going to play at Riv because of the fires now.
I've just heard that. They're talking about
just 2 weeks.
Double up Phoenix. It makes sense.
Which I don't hate. More people get to go to Phoenix then.
Yeah. I love Riv. That's a bummer.
It stinks, but also got to think about, the safety and whatnot and what's going on there. So, we'll just go scoring easy and very easy conditions. And then what do you want to do? Your birdies are better. Oh, look, Cantley, Sungjae, Jason Day. Why is Jason Day popping and everything? Is he good now?
Good putter. Make some birdies. Yeah.
Scam Young, Tony Finau, Burns, Clark, Jesper Svensson, very small sample size, guys. We could have sorted him out. Poston, Dior Bjornsson, the fake Austrian Sepp Straka to round that out. We'll go minimum 12 just to get rid of Jesper. The other
I think Jesper's okay. I think Jesper might be a player a little bit, like especially in shorter courses like this. I think his iron game is
just don't have a big enough. Yeah, I have a list of guys like that for my one and done where it's like these guys, there's 32 events in the Mayo one. So you don't want to drift too far past like the top 40, 50 players because you don't have to. You should use the best golfers and don't leave anyone on the table. But there's always like a list I start the year with where, hey, these guys aren't in my top 50, but they could be in my top like 20 by April.
Yeah. What if he's a guy? Yeah.
Yeah, what if he's a guy kind of thing? And there's always a few early that you have to make some notes on, like, God, I might be using this guy at the 3M.
Yep. The Matthew Pavon of the 2025 season. So, yeah, I mean, solid list. Again, some of these names are linked throughout some of the stuff we've been looking at today. I think we're going to get a pretty strong top of the model in terms of, correlating with what I think is going to happen this week. So this is BOB easy scoring. So I think this is a good basic. And by basic, I mean, like, you can get in the weeds here, obviously, but I think just from a high level standpoint, I don't think we got too crazy, but I think we got what I think will be a fairly predictive model in terms of what we're going to see here. So this is Amex betting show. All right. All right. Easy scoring, total scoring. Any suggestions? Anything you want higher than others? I think this is probably the king.
Ball striking after that should go up.
Okay.
You could probably lower short game. And 15. Boom. There we go. Amex betting show saved his expert report. If you're a Betsperts golf member, you can go in and view this model, play with it, do whatever you want, download it. That's fun too. But we're going to put it up right now and see who our numero uno is.
I'm so excited. We got this flip finally. So your most recent model and your managed model section will be on top. You do not have to scroll all the way to the bottom, which is absolutely lovely to see. I don't know where my name for this one went, but yeah, that's flipped and I'm excited about it. All right, let's see who is on top. Probably Cantley. Ooh, okay.
Sanjay.
Yeah, I liked Sanjay. I considered Sanjay pre-tournament. The number was just way too short. Congrats if you got pre-Xander Sanjay numbers, even though it was already kind of 14. So now it's 12. You didn't get too much juice back on that, but top of the board, kind of the top of the board here. Though Chris Kirk, I guess, is your guy popping in terms of values. So the top is Sanjay, Patrick Cantley, Tony Finau, Chris Kirk, Justin Thomas, Sam Burns, Siwoo Kim, Wyndham Clark, Eric Cole, and Sepp Straka at top 10. Some other names I was expecting to be a little bit higher. They're not too far down, though. They are all basically in the top 20 if you continue to scroll down a little bit. So, I think a pretty condensed top of the board here. Did you bet on anyone yet?
I haven't pulled the trigger, but I will probably be paying Siwoo as my only short price. And by short, I mean, below 50. 28, maybe I'll hunt, see if I can find a better number, but 28 on Chris right now. That's a look. And then two guys that I think they're a little further down in the model we just made, but some guys that I've kind of zoomed in on based on stuff I've been running. Tom Hoagie, 66. Keith Mitchell, around the same price. Those two guys are just good course fits for me right now and kind of popping in the right spots, even though I don't really care for Keith Mitchell. I love Tom Hoagie. Great. He looks like a great hang. I did go hunt for him once at the 3M. I went to the casino like 40 minutes away to see if he was there. Did not succeed, but I did bet on some. Apparently, there's a harness track right behind the casino that was just running horses. There's like 5 people watching. I'm like, oh my God, there's horses here. Hoagie would love this, but those are the 3 names that pop for me right off the bat. I'm gonna dig a little more into matchups, although legal books have been very slow about putting matchups up. It's been annoying because I like to put one in the newsletter, but I like the newsletter out on Tuesdays and there's just nothing up. It's like, oh, here's 6 shooters, basically. Like, pick your winner out of these 6. Like, those are not great because they hide a lot of over-round in those.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of those necessarily, but it's, maybe books are slower with football, still putting out full prop menus, and you're a little bit behind. I stayed away from the top of the board, but looking at the screen that we have right now up, I bet on 4 guys that are currently up here on the screen. None of them shorter than 70. 70 was the shortest number on, and they're all kind of still in that range. Again, part of it's early Monday, part of it's Denny, Xander falling off. But I am with you on Tom Hoagie.
Sorry, Danny. We forgot to mention you.
Yeah, no, I know. He's so annoying. I feel like every time Denny's in contention, I have another guy in contention, and it's like it's always gone pretty well. The only one time it almost didn't was the Akshay one, but Denny always finds a way to be really annoying. I don't think I've ever bet on him in my entire life, so never ever there. But I'm like, just go away, go away.
Doug Gim.
No Doug Gim.
You don't love him like I love him. Glover's 100-1.
Nope.
Tom Hoagie, ugly. Okay.
With you with Hoagie. Absolutely love it. Playing good golf, good poetry of putter. We saw he's popping, lots of things here. You see approach shorter courses. Ball striking is nice, less than driver. All those things for Hoagie are very nice. I am betting on your guy, Ben Griffin. Also, I got Ben Griffin at 70. Ben Griffin came out tops in my model, which I did not expect to see. But again, you can see here, there's a lot of green here. Short game is nice.
That's a good price. That's such a good price. He's like 45 now.
Yeah, 70 was.
He might be my tax guy where I have to just bet him.
I know. I almost feel like, especially if I have him and you don't, that doesn't feel good.
Yeah, or I might add Griffin.
Postman at 70. Again, I was on him when we got home.
Talk me into that. He was my first cut. He was the first one I said, not quite.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of Ben Griffin. If you go into JT Poston's player page, the bars go straight up on very easy and easy, straight up on weak and very weak fields, straight up on short and very short golf courses. Everything after that goes down in red. So there's definitely a strong spot where you want to play Poston. Shriners was similar. Backed him there. He's played this. This is an annual stop for him, as you mentioned. Last 3 appearances, 11th, 6th, 25th. This is just the type of course where, he's not getting crushed because of his length. He's in play. Not a great putter, but Poetriv has been a positive service for him. And 70 just I thought was a bad number. I thought he probably should have been the 45 to 50 range. Again, which is really hard to say when you're talking about actual probabilities of golf outright winners. I actually probably should be further down the board, but I thought it would be shorter than it was. So posting at 70.
Yeah, I'm gonna hunt. I'm gonna look. See if I can find some better prices because those guys are depressed at this point. But I mean, Poston and what was it? Poston and Griffin were like first cuts. I have like 7 or 8 names that it's like, am I adding them to the card or not? And those guys are in there. So I'm going to hunt around. If I can find 55, 50, 50, 55, 60, something like that, I might have to add those guys. But that's about it. And, Siwoo, Poston, Griffin, Hoagie, Mitchell, that's a full card. I don't like to get too nuts with it. But, yeah, I can't justify taking Sungjae at 12, JT at 12, 15, anything like that. Cantlay at 20 is tempting. He might just go out there and outclass everybody, but I don't know about that either. And those are some names too. They're kind of in that tweener range. I'm working on my one and done article. I'm going to do one for every tournament, I think, which is kind of a fun way to just talk it out with yourself, is to have to write it down. But for one and done, I start with, hey, here's like 8 guys who are elite. And there's no chance they're getting used at any place less than 20 million. Like, has to be signature event, major, players, playoffs. Has to be a big purse. This is a small purse event. So then you have 4 or 5 live guys in that. You have 12 guys for those 14 events. So then you have your second tier of this guy is maybe not top 10, but he's certainly top 25. You have 10 or 15 guys like that are maybe he's going to get used at a major and a signature event, but there's a chance I might not use him. And, he has to get used at some point. So he's going to go into one of these where I really, really like his win probability. I don't think Cantlay is in that second group. He's clearly in the top 8 as far as non-live players for me. But like Sung Jae and and even JT, I think those guys are borderline. And if you don't love them in a big event, you can burn a big name here in one and done, even though it's an 8.8 million pot. I'm probably stuck in that second range where I'm looking more at the, Clark, Siwoo, Cameron Young, Davis Thompson's, that kind of section where I'm not going too deep, but I'm not going to burn a big card here on one and done.
Yeah, I like that thought process because I think betting the board from an outright standpoint is definitely different than your approach and how you're approaching one and done for sure. Because I don't have an appetite for any of those guys short, but from a one and done standpoint, like you said, like if you don't have a clear home for Sanjay, I mean, he never really is threatening the real top of this board, but he's like 6 straight years of T25 or better here. So like, he's going to be in the mix. So you're probably going to cash a decent prize versus if you get down to the board where we're talking Poston, Hoagie, Griffin, like they're just a different caliber player. At 70-1 to bet them outright is different than like, could they miss the cut? Could they barely hold on and make the cut and barely cash for you? That's not really what you want in an outright situation or in a one and done situation. So it's a good call. I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, Sanjay is clearly, he's very borderline. He's not in that top 8,
Sure,
12 with live guys, but he's the top of that second tier where, I have to use him somewhere. So Sanjay, JT, Burns, Finau, they're all in that second tier.
Yeah,
and it's probably somebody you need to use here if you want to, especially if you didn't do shit last week.
Yeah, you could probably hold Sanjay because there's going to be an event later in the season at some point where like no one else goes except Sanjay because he goes to almost everything, and it's going to be like a place where he's like 7 to 8 to 1 in the outright market because he's the only dude there.
Somebody always does that. There's somebody in that second range that'll go play like Wyndham or 3M, or even Detroit, and it's like, oh, this is good, especially if a bunch of people burned him because those are all July, August events.
Yeah, it's true. The other outright in that range that I played, like I said, Hoagie, Griffin, Poston. I also got a 75 on Sepp. Sepp's not a guy that I bet often, but I think Sepp's better than maybe, again, like we're splitting hairs. He's probably like on the top of that tier of those golfers, but we're talking about like a Ryder Cup member. When you kind of look at where Sepp's played well, he has played pretty well on. Typically, he's actually played better against better competition on harder golf courses, but he's played some really good golf on Pete Dye tracks as well. It's decent showings of the players. Harbor Town modeled well for us here. He's 10th in this model. Lesson driver is nice. Not a great putter, but Poetriv is his best putting service. So Sepp at 75. He was like 40 at Chris now. So I feel pretty good about the Sepp number there. So
yeah, you did well. And granted, you got some early ones pre-withdrawals, but they aren't moving that much just based on the Xander withdrawal. Like you got some organic movement as well. Like the market disagreed with the prices to start. So kudos to you. I need football to stop so I can just spend my Sunday afternoons. These headphones I have on, these noise cancelers, they're money at home because then kids can just do whatever they want. I pull up the laptop and hook those up, play some white noise and ignore them for, a half hour and look into some golf stuff, start digging into TGL stuff. This is something too. A couple of sports books have odds for the next 3 matches up already. I'm like, oh man. I'm like, am I gonna be the guy who tries to get CLV without knowing? Because you don't know who the 3 out of the 4 golfers are yet.
Correct.
They can go any direction. So like, what if we don't play Ricky? Am I betting New York in a bit of a bounce back spot?
Would you bet Boston if maybe Rory's not playing?
I think almost certainly they're gonna say, Rory, you have to play the first one. Like,
agree.
Good strategy, because there was always going to be let's get excited for TGL. It's the first one. Everybody gather around, kids. We have to watch this. And then there's always going to be this inevitable drop off on the second one, just like XFL, and shit like that. But to bring Tiger in as your second inning relief from the bullpen right off the bat, like that was pretty smart. I guess, people shit on that, said, oh, why wouldn't they have Tiger and Rory day one? day one has its own hype. Like
Yeah.
bringing Tiger in on the second one, that gives people something to watch tonight.
Yeah.
Everyone's excited for Eldrick, and then obviously the schedule gets you some Rory pretty soon.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
it was a good call by the powers that be.
Yep. I took 2 bombs here as well. So I have a bigger card, and I'm still under because I allot, units to the week, and I'm still not hitting kind of where I allow myself to go for the week because I have 4 guys at the top of my card at 70. Really bad opener. Again, I am pot committed. I will continue to pay the Michael Thor Bjornsson tax. I got a 150. 150. I mean, there's no way I'm sitting out on Thor at 150 when at the same time there were 75s and 80s in the market. I think he was sick last week from what I've read, so I don't think it was anything that he withdrew and he's injured or anything like that. Again, at a spot where birdies are a thing. Really good wedge player. Really good when you look actually deeper into the par threes, like I talked about. Smaller sample for Thor. He's top of that board. Par 3 birdie rate and par 3 average over the last year or so. And I also played 200 on Black Desert / Corn Ferry King, Matt McCarty, who is not modeling well, small sample. But the guy won 3 of his last 8 Corn Ferry events. If you're winning Corn Ferry events, you can make birdies. He won the Black Desert.
Those courses those courses are set up like that. I mean, right. My guy from Minnesota, Frankie Sappin, he went into the 18th hole. And it was like an eagleable hole, and I think if he eagled it, it was for a 55. Those courses are absolute just arcades.
Yes. So these guys aren't going to model very well, but I took a stab on a 200 for that kid. Again, he's not, if you look at his profile, not a lot of distance, pretty accurate off the tee, keeps the ball in play and can make birdies in bunches. So this is a spot where, again, we've seen triple digits win before. So 6-man card, a little bit bigger than normal for me, but also in terms of overall spend, a little shorter than normal because it just is light prices. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I love Siwoo this week. I think he wins it, but I'm willing to take some shots in the 50 to 80 range with, like you said, Keith, Griffin, Postman, Hoagie. Those are guys that are going to make the card because it does feel like it's going to be a mid-range guy who just gets hot, and those are some of the ones. You can't take them all, but those are some of the ones I like.
Still seeing 35s on Siwoo across the domestic. So
no, I like him quite a bit as a spot. So let us know if you have any questions, comments, ideas, feedback. If you want to get access to the rabbit hole, if you DM me, I'll get you if you're a brand new user, you want to try it out, I'll get you a coupon. I'll get you a month to start out for $10 just to play around with and get used to it before we get into the meat of the season and football's over. Hit us up on Twitter at AndyMSFW, at RY Noonan, at Betsperts Golf. Check out all the content at betspertsgolf.com. Ron wrote up a very extensive preview on all 3 courses. That's over there. I have my TGL preview. I'll have some one and done content. Ryan will have some betting content, write-ups on what he's done. And of course, if you are a member, get in the Discord where you can pepper Ron with DFS questions for the next 2 days. And we will see you next week for
next week's funny
tournament.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Farmers.
Next week. Farmers.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I'm like, shit, are we already at the weird week?
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll adjust schedule. I think we might just do Tuesday anyway.
Yeah, I think we will.
So, but know that the golf starts earlier because of NFL Championship Sunday, and they don't want to go up against that. Smart move always by the Farmers. So see you guys.